The protagonist of our tale is a young man named Jura. Though his appearance is round and far from handsome, Jura's heart shines with kindness. Raised by his grandfather's wise words to always help those in need, he couldn't stand by when he saw a girl being bullied. So Jura stepped forward, his voice steady, telling the thugs to stop. But seeing Jura's pitiful form, they ganged up on him without mercy. Just as despair threatened to swallow him, the police arrived, scattering the bullies in fear. The girl Jura saved was worried, urging him to lean on her shoulder, but Jura, silent and reserved, quietly walked home. Deep down, he knew his awkward looks made others uneasy around him. Back in elementary school, classmates mocked him relentlessly. At home, even his parents showed him disdain. In middle school, Jura endured beatings from local bullies. Through these dark years, only his grandfather's love was a beacon. Every word his grandfather spoke was etched in Jura's heart, never to be disobeyed. When his grandfather passed, his parents fought over the inheritance, but failed. His grandfather had prepared everything carefully for Jura. Eventually, his parents abandoned him. Jura had to work part-time jobs just to survive, but fate's cruelty didn't end there. In high school, classmates continued to scorn and humiliate him. They treated Jura like a punching bag, hitting him whenever boredom struck. Nearby, his two younger siblings watched with disdainful smiles. That day, because of his injuries, Jura was late for work and promptly fired, replaced without hesitation. Returning home, the instant noodles in his hand refused to go down. Staring into the mirror, Jura couldn't hold back his frustration. He punched himself repeatedly, cursing a life that had dealt him so much pain. Yet, it was that very punch that revealed a hidden door in the room. Curious, Jura stepped inside and found a secret chamber filled with his grandfather's strange belongings. At the far end stood an unusual door that stirred his curiosity. Opening it, Jura discovered a gateway to another world. After some exploration, he even found a special storage item to keep his treasures safe. Just as he was about to store a mystical spear, a noise outside froze him in fear. A level 300 monster was trying to break in to devour him. The beast tried to smash through the barrier with a tree, but it was no use. Frozen by terror, Jura noticed the spear in his hand and took a chance. He threw it. The spear pierced a huge hole in the monster's belly, and it collapsed to the ground. The spear returned to Jura's hand like a loyal companion, and a message appeared: he had reached level 100 by defeating the beast. Plus, the monster dropped rare, powerful items. Back in the secret room, Jura was rewarded with money for completing the quest. Feeling the thrill of victory, Jura decided to return home and rest. That night, his body began to transform. What felt like a nightmare turned real by dawn. He woke to find his old, ugly self replaced by a handsome young man with chiseled six-pack abs. His clothes hung loose on his new form, and even his younger sister, Huami, seemed to have grown a little. Just as he was about to step out, the mirror was already shattered by Jura's fist yesterday, so he immediately took the money and designed a new outfit, because his old clothes hung loose on him now. Then he returned to the otherworldly house to explore, discovering countless plants whose names he didn't know. Among them was a miraculous herb said to cure all diseases. If brought back to the real world, it would make him rich beyond dreams. Just then, a monster appeared to cause trouble. Without hesitation, Jura pulled out an item from his inventory. One quick thrust of his spear and the slime vanished into thin air. The monster dropped a necklace and a stone with a coffee aroma. As soon as Jura put on the necklace, he gained a new skill-enhanced perception. At the same time, his level jumped to 150, just like yesterday. After defeating the monster, he earned some money and promptly designed a brand new set of clothes. From that day on, Jura explored the otherworld daily. His meals became more sumptuous, freeing him from the shackles of instant noodles. He even relished the jelly from the defeated slime. After his feast, he ventured out again, this time facing a goblin lord. It was a tough battle, but after a fierce struggle, he blew the goblin's head off, sending it into oblivion. After collecting the loot, he prepared to return home, still believing he looked like a chubby loser. However, upon arriving at school, he was met with admiration. Every girl gazed at him like he was a star. When he entered the classroom, the bullies approached, curious about the newcomer. But when he introduced himself as Jura, everyone, including his two younger siblings, gaped in disbelief. The once dumpy boy was now strikingly handsome, resembling a true heartthrob. Jura hurried to the bathroom to check his reflection, and even he was taken aback by the transformation. Outside the school gate, a girl approached him, searching for Jura. Upon seeing him, she assumed he had recently shed some weight. Curious, Jura asked how she knew his name, and she introduced herself as Carrie, the girl he saved at the convenience store. At that moment, it clicked in Jura's mind, and she added that she wanted to invite him to the prestigious Austral Academy, as her father was the principal. After hearing about his heroic act, he wanted to extend an invitation. Jura immediately declined, believing he lacked the strength for such an environment. Seeing this, his younger siblings eagerly urged Carrie to extend the invitation to them instead. Carrie, however, insisted that she wouldn't let them insult Jura by taking his spot, as she had already investigated their rude behaviour. The two siblings could only kneel in disappointment. Carrie reassured Jura that Austral Academy was based on potential, so he had nothing to worry about. Seeing Jura still hesitant, Carrie grabbed his hand and led him to her vehicle. His siblings could only watch in envy. Upon arriving at the academy, Jura was struck by the presence of so many talented students, making him feel like he didn't belong. He met the principal, who bowed in gratitude for saving his daughter, affirming that the school prioritized human values. Thus, Jura was encouraged to enjoy his time there without overthinking. Despite his insecurities, the principal reminded him that everyone possesses unique talents. Jura felt a flicker of hope as he recalled his grandfather's encouraging words. Realizing that inviting him to join wasn't entirely appropriate, the principal offered him a chance to experience a class. Just then, a beautiful teacher named Sawada entered, and the principal asked her to help Jura with his class experience. Sawada promised to guide him thoroughly, but Jura couldn't shake off his nervousness before entering the classroom. He feared the talented students might laugh at him. As he heard Sawada call for attention, his heart raced. When he stepped into the classroom, he greeted everyone, only to find them wide-eyed, stunned by his striking appearance. Sawada arranged a seat for him at the back, next to a girl with an icy demeanour named Hyodo Duki. Thanks to the teacher's reminder, Duki moved her desk closer to Jura's, but her disinterest made him feel like he was already disliked on his first day. Carrie was anxious about whether Jura would fit in with the class, while he was genuinely excited to learn from Sawada. He found the experiences to be incredibly enriching, unlike anything he'd ever encountered before. When recess came, girls flocked around him, eager to know if he had a girlfriend. Just as Jura felt overwhelmed by the attention, a boy named Ryo came to his rescue, and they quickly became friends. Together, they headed to the cafeteria for lunch. Surrounded by a feast of delicious free food, Jura felt he had stumbled into paradise. After selecting some meat, they sat with another boy wearing glasses named Zero, who shared Jura's love for anime. Jura listened intently as they exchanged stories. Jura couldn't help but notice that the entire cafeteria was captivated by his presence. Ryo explained that it was because of Jura's stunning looks that the girls were drawn to him. Zero added that this school was incredibly relaxed, even allowing students to bring gaming consoles without fear of reprimand. When Jura revealed his interest in gaming, Zero invited him to join in. After a day of experiencing this new life, Jura returned to the principal's office. Although still feeling insecure, the principal's encouraging words inspired him to enroll in this prestigious school. Upon leaving, he bumped into Carrie again, who was thrilled to learn he had agreed to attend. Before heading out, she invited Jura to hang out, excited to have a friend by her side due to her status as the principal's daughter. Afterwards, he and his new friend connected and headed to the cafeteria for lunch. As they gazed upon the array of delicious free food, Jura felt like he had truly found paradise. After selecting some meat dishes, they joined a bespectacled boy named Zero at a table. It turned out they all shared a common passion for anime, and Jura listened intently to their animated conversation. Jura noticed that the entire cafeteria seemed captivated by his presence. Zero explained that it was Jura's good looks that attracted the attention of the girls. He also mentioned that this school was a relaxed place for students. He even brought a gaming console without fear of reprimand. When Jura revealed he enjoyed gaming too, Zero enthusiastically invited him to play together. After a day of experiencing life here, Jura returned to the principal's office. Despite feeling a bit insecure, the principal's encouraging words inspired him to enroll in this prestigious school. As he stepped outside, he encountered Carrie, who was overjoyed to hear that Jura had decided to join. Before parting, she excitedly invited him to hang out, delighted that a rare friend had accepted. As Carrie was the principal's daughter, she rarely had friends to accompany her, making her happiness palpable. Jura, however, hesitated to eat too much, worried he might revert to his old form. Curiously, he asked Carrie how she recognized him, to which she replied that, although his appearance had changed, she would never forget his sincere gaze. Carrie, gazing intently into Jura's eyes, made him feel bashful. For her, he had become her closest friend. The two enjoyed cake together, resembling a blissful couple drawing envious glances from everyone around. Jura understood that as he transitioned to a new school life would become hectic, so as soon as he got home, he geared up to enter the other world. The slim monsters he had previously defeated posed little challenge, but since the loot was minimal, he was unable to level up significantly. Seeing only weak monsters around his house, Jura decided to venture into the forest, believing that greater threats awaited him in the unknown. Upon stepping outside, he was startled by a loud commotion from the woods. He quickly readied his spear and rushed in to investigate, discovering a group of people who had been sent to heaven, facing a large goblin with a level of 200 who was about to harm a girl. Jura, ever the empathetic soul, could not stand by and let this girl suffer, so he charged in to confront the beast. Even though the goblin knocked Jura's spear away, he leaped and delivered a kick to its face, leaving a shoe imprint on the monster's cheek. Just when he thought the goblin was finished, it unexpectedly stood up and slashed at Jura, sending him crashing into a tree. Truly, one could never underestimate a high-level monster. Realizing his spear wasn't strong enough, Jura summoned his powerful infinity bow to engage the creature. With one swift slash of the energy blade, the goblin was vanquished. Jura rushed over to check on the girl, but she only caught a glimpse of him before fainting. He intended to do something to help her, but heard soldiers calling her name from a distance. So he used his invisibility spell to hide while they carried her away. Although the girl was saved, Jura felt a twinge of worry about whether she would make it out of the forest safely. Yet, he had to set aside that concern. It was time to go shopping for clothes. As he arrived at the mall, all eyes turned to Jura, mistaking him for a movie star shooting a film. With whispers and chatter following him, he quickly slipped away to avoid gathering attention. During this time, a man in a pink shirt named Hikaru was scolding his staff for their slow service, especially since the male model was still an hour away, leaving him utterly frustrated. Meanwhile, the female model Miyu was busy perfecting her makeup for the upcoming shoot. With no time to waste, Hikaru decided to find a replacement for the irresponsible male model. Meanwhile, Jura was preoccupied trying to design an outfit that looked sharp but was struggling to make a decision. Suddenly, two girls approached him, inviting him to shop together, thinking they might have ulterior motives. Jura declined his voice deep and warm, leaving both girls momentarily flustered. Even after he moved on, the girls remained dazed. Hikaru searched them all tirelessly, but found no suitable candidates. He decided to take a picture of Jura, who, after a long day, felt exhausted. Seeing this, Miyu offered him a towel to wipe the sweat from his brow. Jura admired Miyu for her dedication as a model, prompting him to ask why she chose such a challenging profession. Miyu explained that her parents were always busy, rarely paying attention to her, so she became a model to attract more notice. Fortunately, she gained many fans who supported her, which made her feel valued and encouraged her to work hard in her career to repay their kindness. Listening to their heartfelt conversation, Jura felt that Miyu shared many similarities with himself. So the two of them chatted happily with Hikaru, capturing these precious moments on camera. Just then, that irresponsible male model showed up. Being famous, he drew loud cheers from the girls, but Miyu clearly despised him. He even mocked the photo shoot, angering Hikaru. After some taunting, the model arrogantly pinned Hikaru down and invited her to drink with him. Seeing Miyu being cornered, Jura jumped in to intervene. The model, proud of his boxing skills, tried to teach Jura a lesson, but Jura simply dodged lightly and threw him to the ground. Everyone around was frozen in shock. Jura wondered why this guy moved slower than a turtle. For a moment he worried about being scolded for beating a handsome man, but his cool move turned the crowd into fans instead of haters. Meanwhile, Hikaru, insulted by the model's disrespect toward her work, kicked him out. No company would want him after this, that was certain. Miyu thanked Jura deeply for rescuing her, as she'd been harassed by him for some time. Who would want to hire him now? Jura also thanked Jura deeply for stepping in to rescue her lately. She's been swarmed by his relentless advances and constant trouble. At this moment, Hikaru asked Dura if he'd be interested in modelling work, sensing Dura's talent and perfect fit for the role. Plus, with Hikaru's support, Dura wouldn't have to worry about income anymore. Dura politely declined, explaining that today's experience as a photo model was precious, but as an outsider to the profession, he wasn't ready to take on the job just yet. Hearing this, Hikaru respected Dura's decision and, to show his gratitude, gifted him plenty of high-end clothes from the shopping centre. Dura expressed heartfelt thanks for this thoughtful present. Before leaving, Dura didn't forget to wish Miu success in her career. After parting ways, Hikaru felt a twinge of regret. He truly believed Dura could have become a star if he accepted the modelling offer. Meanwhile, Miu seemed quite nostalgic for Dura, secretly hoping to meet and work with him again. Upon hearing this, Hikaru realised Miu had clearly fallen for Dura. Dura returned home to organise the new clothes he'd received. Meanwhile, Dura set off once more into the other world, determined to level up. Elsewhere, the Night Squad battled a swarm of goblins trying to capture the princess and find her fiancé. The enemy was overwhelming, and a goblin was about to seize the princess, but luckily Dura arrived just in time to save this mischievous royal from a grim fate. Watching Dura's sword dance, the princess couldn't help but marvel. One swift spear strike sent the last goblin flying in an instant. Dura then used his items to heal the wounded soldiers. Approaching the knights, the princess walked straight to Dura and boldly asked him to become her husband, leaving everyone, including Dura himself, utterly stunned. Knight Captain Owen was baffled. How could Princess Latia of noble blood propose marriage to a stranger so casually? But the princess fired back confidently. This was love at first sight. When arguments threatened to drag on, Dura wisely suggested they all head to his home, instead hoping to avoid attracting more monsters with their bickering. No matter what they said, Owen couldn't believe such a home existed deep in the demon-infested forest. Dura, learning he was in the presence of the highest-ranking princess, was equally shocked, worried his casual talk might get him into trouble. He introduced himself, and the princess found his name intriguingly foreign, assuming he was a noble from another land. The captain, on the other hand, suspected Dura was a spy planted in their kingdom. But then, looking at his handsome face, he hesitated. Could this charming guy really be a spy? The captain explained that he and the princess had come here because she was saved once before by someone she wanted to thank. Meeting Dura today, she couldn't contain her feelings any longer. Ever since their encounter, her heart raced wildly, compelling her to propose marriage on the spot. Surprised and a bit scared by the sudden proposal, Dura declined. Yet the princess was undeterred. She wanted to start as friends, and maybe marry him someday. Hearing those words, Dura couldn't help but wonder what this unexpected journey held next. Dura was deeply moved by his friends, who used to treat him like a punching bag. But now, under the sincere gaze of the princess, he shook hands and accepted her offer. Owen, seeing their warmth, gently reminded the princess that once the business was done, she should head home. As for Surah, the king wanted to thank him personally and promised to visit him next time. The royal decree from the king was absolute, so Owen couldn't refuse. Seeing this, Dujjar set a date for Owen to come pick him up. Then he bid farewell to the princess as she prepared to return home. Meanwhile, a certain prince seethed with rage. His assassination plan against the princess had failed, and his soldiers were devoured by monsters in the great demon forest. Yet somehow the princess survived that deadly place. This prince harboured a deep grudge against her and vowed to make her pay. Back home, Dujjar scheduled a meeting with the king. Today was also his first day at the academy, so he dressed sharply and stepped outside, instantly surrounded by admirers. At this moment, anyone meeting Dujjar would surely be captivated. At school, Dujjar went straight to the principal's office. The principal, unsure what to say, but wishing well, simply hoped Dujjar would have a beautiful student life at the academy. Later in class, the teacher reintroduced Dujjar to everyone. As the lesson ended, they moved to sports, and on the soccer field, Rio dominated, scoring goal after goal like a seasoned pro. Just then, a classmate named KD came over to befriend Dujjar. KD was warm and enthusiastic, and Dujjar happily accepted the friendship, hoping for her support. On the field, Rio and his teammates were utterly crushing their rivals. A blonde youth received a pass from Rio, but in a moment of carelessness shot the ball straight at KD. Without hesitation, Dujjar leapt high and volleyed the ball into the goal, stunning everyone. He then struck a cool pose before turning to check on KD. Needless to say, KD was totally smitten. Meanwhile, the blonde youth, Akira, knelt, apologizing and pledging his loyalty to KD for life. But KD had already found someone special, so she gently refused Akira's devotion. As the gym class wrapped up, it was time to head to Carrie's classroom for a new lesson. The moment KD stepped into the changing room, the class buzzed with excited whispers about Jura. KD proudly boasted about being born under extraordinary circumstances, which sparked a pang of jealousy in Carrie's heart. So during gym, Carrie called out to Jura, afraid he might forget her entirely. Just then, a gang of thugs crashed through the school gates on motorbikes surrounding Carrie's group of female classmates in a menacing trap. Fear gripped the girls as the gang closed in. Upstairs, Jura's class watched the scene unfold below, someone mentioning that these were the notorious Restock gang, the ruthless rulers of this territory. The name rang a bell. Apparently, they were connected to Jura's two younger brothers. The thugs cornered Carrie, hurling threats because she had humiliated them before. Despite Carrie's shout that she'd call the police, they tightened their grip. Up in the classroom, Jura suddenly looked deeply troubled, fear creeping into his mind despite all the monsters he'd faced in other worlds. It was a rare crack in his brave facade. Seeing this, someone from Jura's class slapped him hard across the face to snap him back. Then, with a determined breath, Jura threw open the window and soared down to the chaos below. The whole class gasped in amazement, descending from the 4th floor with the grace of a feather landing softly on the ground. Without hesitation, he charged forward to confront Araki, the thug who once beat him mercilessly. Araki, still seeing Dura as weak, ordered his men to teach him a lesson once more. But Dura was a blur of motion, swiftly disarming every thug. He easily overpowered Araki himself. Yet to truly save Carrie, Dura had to face another beast, a towering, gorilla-like member of the gang. Despite his massive frame, Dura blocked his attack with just one hand, then casually let go, sending the brute crashing headfirst into a motorbike. With the gang momentarily stunned, Dura moved to Carrie's side, standing firm where the thugs dared not tread. The gang leader's eyes burned with fury and jealousy. In a desperate move, he charged his motorbike straight at Dura, but Dura ducked low to evade, then vaulted high above him. The leader could only watch helplessly as Dura's silhouette danced just out of reach. In his reckless fury, the leader crashed into the steps of a nearby house, his battered bike exploding in a cloud of smoke and sparks. Despite his massive frame, Duja stopped the attacker with just one hand. Then casually, releasing his grip, he let the man crash headfirst into a motorcycle. Alone, Duja approached Carrie, who dared not confront him. The gang leader, clearly annoyed, charged at Duja on his bike. But Duja ducked, evaded and jumped high, leaving the leader staring helplessly. Distracted, the leader slammed into a house's staircase, his battered bike exploding. It wasn't until afternoon that the local police arrived to arrest the thugs. Carrie seemed exhausted, so Duja supported her. They exchanged shy glances while Duja's younger siblings were taken away by police. The gang leader, furious, grabbed Duja's brother, leaving the cops powerless to stop him. He even kicked Duja's sister across the yard. Seeing this cruelty, Duja rushed forward and shoved the man aside. The thug still wanted to fight, but the sheer intensity in Duja's eyes made him back off. Oddly, Duja saved his siblings even though they had always despised him. He told them he would never forgive them, but when family is in danger, he couldn't abandon them. Overwhelmed, the siblings broke down in tears and begged for forgiveness. Duja's friends, amazed at his ability to leap from the 4th floor, praised him as a genius jumper. Together, they asked all about it. Returning home, Duja entered another world to hunt monsters. His mind replayed the Night Captain's words. The Great Demon Forest was considered extremely dangerous by all realms. Though Duja could easily slay monsters here if they appeared in packs, they could destroy entire cities. He puzzled over why the wise hermit, the house's master, chose to live in such a perilous place. Opening his eyes, Duja faced monsters all around. After a fierce hunt, he planned to head home for a hearty meal, but suddenly heard a distant cry. Rushing over, he found a puppy being attacked by a giant boar. Scanning the creature, Duja realized it was a high-level beast and considered retreating. But recalling his grandfather's words, he couldn't bear to leave the little one helpless. Without hesitation, he pulled out his spear and threw it at the beast, thinking it was quite powerful. However, as he charged in with his sword, it vanished into thin air. Jura remembered how a giant snail at level 300 had fallen with just one spear, so this wild boar was clearly overkill. He silently mused about how formidable his master's weapons were, but first he had to tend to this puppy. With just one vial of medicine, the puppy was healed instantly, expressing immense gratitude and sticking close to Jura. So Jura opened his status panel to form a bond with it. To his surprise, this little pup was at level Gakken 500 with impressively high stats. Noticing its sleek black fur, Jura named it Nai. From that moment on, Nai became Jura's loyal companion. Jura even brought Nai back to the real world to keep as his pet. However, since he had never owned a pet before, he sought advice from his classmates. KD, noticing Jura had adopted a puppy, seemed very curious and approached him. Once she realised how close they were, KD felt a bit flustered. Rio chimed in, mentioning a pet grooming shop near the shopping area, but since she was busy, she couldn't take Jura there. Seizing the opportunity, KD invited Jura to go with her, viewing it as a date, which filled her with joy. Thanks to KD's company, Jura bought plenty of supplies for Nai. To take Nai out for a stroll, Jura adorned it with a collar that KD had personally chosen. Even though they were just walking their puppy girls around them, couldn't help but notice Jura's handsome appearance. Suddenly, a thief appeared, and as Jura was about to capture him, the thief lunged at Carrie with a knife. Jura acted swiftly to protect her, showcasing a cool dominance over the thief as he saved her. The crowd erupted in applause, and Carrie felt elated, grateful for Jura's help for the second time. After handing the thief over to the police, Jura returned to the other realm, his goal set on delving deeper into the dark forest. Every monster that Jura encountered was mercilessly defeated, and even his companion managed to take down a giant boar. Seeing how easy these monsters were to handle, Jura sought out something stronger. As he ventured deeper, he came face to face with a premium deer boasting a level of 630. Despite using stealth to hide it, surprisingly detected him, prompting Jura to abandon his invisibility and confront it directly. Nai charged ahead, but the deer's antlers were too tough to penetrate. Moreover, the deer cast spells to restrain Jura. Realizing he couldn't defeat the deer through conventional means, Jura and Nai needed to work together. The deer continued casting spells, engulfing the forest in smoke. At that moment, Nai pounced from behind, striking the deer's weak point. Seizing the opportunity, Jura thrust his spear into the deer, making it vanish instantly. Defeating powerful monsters like these granted him significant battle experience. He thought that such formidable foes must yield great rewards, but when he checked, he only found a cube labelled bathtub. To Jura's astonishment, it was his first time defeating a monster and receiving such a large bathtub. Excited, he stowed it away to enjoy with his puppy. The next morning, he resumed his monster hunting endeavours, this time facing off against a hedgehog that had both rapid attack speed and strong defences. Jura, caught off guard, was struck by one of its spikes, leaving a mark on his face. Yet he reassured Nai that there was no need to worry, as he had a plan to take it down. Together, Jura and Nai baited the hedgehog into attacking, causing its spiked back to become trapped in a rock. Seizing the chance, Jura attacked the hedgehog's body, causing it to explode. At that moment, Jura levelled up to 240, gaining numerous new skills. Nai also levelled up alongside him with identical stats. Coincidentally, the hedgehog's rampage had shattered the rock, revealing the entrance to a cave. Together, they ventured inside to explore what treasures lay within. As they delved deeper, flames flickered around, illuminating the cave. At the end, Jura discovered a skeleton alongside a book. The cover read, "The Book of the Wise One." Realizing this was the book of the master of the house he resided in, Jura opened it to find it detailed how the Wise One had become omnipotent, mastering everything from magic and martial arts to cooking and painting, achieving the highest levels of human capability. He had even been invited to join the ranks of the gods, but chose to live as a human, preferring solitude, which ultimately led to his lonely demise in this desolate place. The Wise One also noted that Jura's power surpassed his own, which would surely instill fear in those around him. Thus, the Wise One didn't want someone as kind-hearted as Jura to live in isolation like he did. The wise hermit had mastered everything from magic and martial arts to swordsmanship, cooking, and painting, reaching the pinnacle of human skill. He was even invited to join the divine ranks, but chose to live as a mortal. His brilliance left him isolated, eventually passing away alone in this remote place. He added that Dujia's power surpassed even his own, and that such strength would terrify those around him. The hermit didn't want a kind soul like Dujia to suffer loneliness, as he did. In Dujia's mind, a question arose: how could he be accepted by those around him? The hermit used the divine blade of empathy and advised him to build close bonds with friends, family, or love. Just one person to share his heart with would be enough. Dujia thought making a true soulmate was tough, though he had some friends now. Seeing this, the hermit encouraged him to live well, promising he would find a soulmate in time. He added that a book he possessed would answer everything Dujia wished to know. Curious, Dujia asked about magic, and suddenly the book glowed. The hermit explained it contained all his magical theories. The book revealed that everyone in this world is born with magic power flowing from their heart, but someone like Dujia from another world lacked a magic vein, so the hermit planned to grant him his own magic vein. Otherwise, it would vanish. Magical runes emerged from the book, entering Dujia's body, as a hologram wishing him a happy life with this new power. Dujia thanked him and took the book home. After reading the guide, he tried following it. First was feeling the magic around him. Sitting quietly, he touched his heart, and a glow of magic burst forth within him. A status window appeared showing he had gained the skill magic control. Dujia realized this was the magic vein the hermit mentioned. The next lesson was casting magic spells. Dujia thought it required chance like in movies he loved, but the book said all he needed was to gather magic and imagine the spell. Magic, they say, is a gift, and so Dujia steps onto the field eager to test his newfound power. In mere moments, he conjures a simple water sphere, a delicate dance of control. Beside him, Nai mirrors his feet flawlessly. Tonight, Dura unleashes a fierce attack toward the forest, toppling every tree before him. Meanwhile, the night captain, reporting to the king, accidentally reveals the secret of Princess Kao's feelings for Dura. Enraged, the king's fury erupts like a tempest, demanding Dujiang's immediate execution. Brandishing his sword wildly, he curses Dura a scoundrel, daring to steal his daughter's heart. Back in the real world, Dujiang heads to school. Today, Ms. Sawada announces an upcoming 3-day, 2-night outdoor training camp to help the class adapt to new environments. Seeing Dura confused, Yuki explains the plan. Ms. Sawada adds that students will be divided into groups of 4. According to her assignments, Dura will team up with Akira KD and a girl named Rin. With everyone in the group getting along well, KD eagerly anticipates the camp. But Dura, worried about not having a backpack, feels uneasy. So KD decides to invite the whole gang, including Carrie and a few of Dura's friends, to help him prepare. With Carrie, a standout personality, joining them, even Rio can't help but be amazed. The mall is surprisingly empty today, letting the group shop swiftly. Carrie personally picks out a backpack that fits Dura perfectly, filling him with joy. Once their shopping mission is complete, 2 of Dura's friends coax the group into playing a claw machine game. The first prize, an anime figurine of the bespectacled young man called Single. Single seems to adore this prize, so Dura steps up to try his luck. Thanks to his keen observation skills honed from another world, Dura instantly spots the weak points and, with a few precise moves, wins the figurine for Single. Watching this, KD can't be outdone and asks Dura to try his luck for him too. Without hesitation, Dura happily obliged everyone in the group. Corey, on the other hand, received a badge shaped like a seal on his chest. When Carrie thanked him, Dura felt a warmth in his heart. With plenty of time left, the 3 girls decided to head upstairs for some women's shopping while the 3 guys took a break at a cafe waiting for them to return. Just then, the centre announced a fire incident on the 10th floor, sending Dura into a panic as the girls were still on the 13th floor shopping. He quickly grabbed his phone, but all he caught was KD saying a few words before the line went dead. Unable to wait any longer, Dura dashed upstairs, the guard unable to stop him. All that filled Dura's mind was how to protect the smiles of those 3 girls. When he reached the upper floor, Dura saw flames engulfing the entire area. Instantly, he used his magic to draw water from the air enveloping himself before charging toward the fire to locate them. Carrie, taking her last breath, spotted Dura rushing toward her. After sensing the situation with his magic, Dura realized there was no one else in the building, only the 3 girls. He quickly devised a plan to bring them down safely, but the flames had grown too fierce, making Jura unsure if his magic could withstand it. With Carrie on his shoulder and Rin and KD on either side, he felt time was running out. So he summoned all his magical energy to create a path from the 13th floor down to the first, astonishing his two friends, as he successfully rescued all three girls. Afterward, Jura had to apologize to the fire department for his reckless actions. Carrie's father soon arrived and thanked Jura for saving his daughter. The badge Carrie had given him was also found by Jura, moving her deeply. Watching the two of them embrace Jura felt a pang of sadness, as he had no family left, but that sorrow quickly faded, as he realized he now had Nai as part of his family. Jura recalled a line from a book stating that when imagination is materialized with magic spells can be cast. So he tried using the teleportation spell and found himself instantly transported to a dense forest. Jura was thrilled. Now he could roam freely and visit Nai whenever he wished. However, the teleportation only took him to places he had already been. Today, Jura and Nai ventured to explore another cave. As soon as they spotted a group of goblins blocking the path, Jura drew his sword and charged into battle. After just a few swift strikes, the monsters vanished, leaving behind a pile of loot. After a fierce skirmish, the two emerged back outside as they had to prepare for a field training session with their class, so today was just to explore. Suddenly, Nai noticed something and dashed into the woods, thinking it was her puppy. Jura quickly urged her to come back, but seeing Nai's behavior, he decided to use his invisibility spell to sneak in and check. Upon arrival, he discovered a girl injured and surrounded by a horde of monsters waiting to pounce on her. When Jura reached out, Nai stopped him, and to his surprise, the girl was no ordinary damsel. Her weapon was sharp threads capable of slicing through anything. However, the number of monsters was overwhelming, preventing her from fighting back. With a powerful kick from the largest beast, she was sent crashing into a tree. The monsters began to celebrate their victory, closing in to feast on the beautiful girl. Just then, Jura appeared, slicing the creature in half with a precise strike, while Nai helped him dispatch the remaining lackeys. Thinking they were heading home, Jura instead found himself in the goblin's lair. He drew a whip from his chest, and upon contact with the monsters, it ensnared them before crushing them to dust. Once the area was cleared, Jura brought the girl back to protect her from the dangerous forest, but Nai seemed to oppose this, sensing the girl exuded a dangerous aura. The girl, now awake, panicked, thinking Jura intended to harm her, and she struggled fiercely, even banging her head against a tree in distress. Jura quickly pulled out a healing potion and offered it to her. Initially, she suspected he was giving her some dark concoction, but after drinking it all, her wounds healed, leaving her astonished. The girl introduced herself as Luna. She claimed she was training in the woods when she was ambushed by the goblins. Upon learning Jura had defeated all the monsters to save her, Luna expressed her heartfelt gratitude. However, when she inquired about why Jura was in such a perilous forest, he fabricated a story about training there to keep her from being suspicious. Excited by their shared purpose, Luna, now covered in grime and sweat from the battle, caught Jura's attention. He offered her a chance to try out his newly designed bathing pool. While bathing, Luna marveled at how delightful it was to experience something so relaxing for the first time. Jura also revealed that he had defeated the crystal deer to create this luxurious tub. Luna was taken aback, impressed that Jura could battle such a formidable creature. She then proposed they explore together in the future. Jura thought it unwise to let such a beautiful girl venture alone in a monster-infested forest, so he agreed, making her exceedingly happy. The next day, Jura, along with Nai and Luna, set out to hunt monsters around the forest, and by noon, they took a break to refuel. Together with Nai and Luna, Jura embarks on a quest to clear monsters from the forest's edges. By midday, they pause to rest and refuel. Thanks to Dujang's support, Luna now fights goblins with newfound confidence. Jura is surprised by how skillfully Luna wields her own strands of power, but their adventure must pause because tomorrow, Jura will join his class for an outdoor excursion. Hearing this, Luna feels a pang of regret and wants to do something special to say farewell to Jura. After a day spent slaying monsters, Jura soaks in a bath to wash away the fatigue. Just then, Luna enters wrapped only in a towel, causing Jura to panic and scheme a quick escape. But instead, Luna hugs him tightly, thanking him for all his help and the beautiful memories they've shared. The closeness makes Luna reluctant to say goodbye. As she prepares to leave, Jura gently reminds Luna that her towel has slipped off. Embarrassed, she quickly hides, not daring to let him see anymore. The next morning, Jura joins his classmates for the outdoor trip. Perhaps worn out from yesterday's events, he keeps nodding off during a card game, unable to fight sleep any longer. He tells everyone to continue playing while he catches some rest. Oddly enough, even while dozing, Jura keeps winning hand after hand. Thinking back to last night with Luna, he laughs. Maybe his luck is just too strong right now. Upon arrival, the group wakes Jura, and as he steps off the bus, he's awestruck. They're lodging, a massive building that commands attention. Coach Sahara quickly urges everyone to change and gather in the hall for the briefing. This so-called training camp is actually a wilderness survival trip designed to teach everyone how to live independently and survive in the wild. Food, like wild mushrooms, herbs, and fish, must be gathered by themselves, while staples like rice are prepared in advance by Ms. Sawada. Hearing this, KD grew anxious, fearing some mushrooms might be poisonous, but Saga assured that she would personally check everything. If anyone gets poisoned, the school nurse Ms. Makawa will take care of it. Yet this nurse had such a grim aura that it sent chills down every student's spine. Ms. Sawada added that this was a competition between classes, and whichever class performs best, their homeroom teacher gets a bonus. The students sighed, realizing their hard work was just for their teacher's benefit. Moreover, they couldn't even sleep in their own homes. They had to camp in the forest. Since no one in Du's group had survived in the wild before, they felt completely out of their depth. After some planning, Akira and Zin were assigned to gather mushrooms, while Du and KD went fishing by the stream. When the spot filled up, the two had to find a new place. Though the stream was full of fish, its shallow water made fishing difficult. Du recalled Luna's advice: animals afraid of humans can be caught easily by reading their movements. So, Du waded in and captured fish with his bare hands, no rod needed. In no time, his bucket overflowed, leaving the whole class in awe. KD had to remind Du to stop before he overdid it. Meanwhile, Luna had trained with Jura, growing significantly stronger. Yet beneath her newfound strength lay the heart of a dark guild assassin known as the Bounty Hunter. And the handsome Du was her target. If only fate had allowed their paths to cross sooner, their destinies might have been intertwined. But now, as enemies, she was determined to claim him. Du and KD returned with a haul of fish, astonishing Zin, who marvelled at Du's bare-handed catch. Turning to Akira, they discovered him sprawled on the ground, having just escaped a bear's pursuit. To make matters worse, Zin playfully forced Akira to eat a mushroom as a poison test. Concern washed over Du, but after assessing the situation, he was relieved to find Akira safe. The moment Du showed concern, Akira brimmed with newfound energy. Next on their agenda was cooking with the fresh ingredients they gathered. Thanks to Du's appraisal skills, he confirmed that everything was safe. Despite this, they still needed to consult Sawada. Upon arrival, Du encountered Carrie, and they exchanged pleasantries, looking like a genuine couple. Akira couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy, wishing for a moment of intimacy with Carrie. Rin chimed in, noting Carrie's elegant demeanour as the principal's daughter, revered by many boys as the academy's princess. After assessing the vegetables, Sawada confirmed that everything brought by Du's group was edible. Seeing her students excel filled her with pride. She was sure the prize money would be hers this time. When she inquired who could cook, only Du stepped forward. She placed her trust in him, hoping he would create the best dish for the competition. Ms. Sawada praised Du's group for eating every wild vegetable they found. Seeing her students' skills, she quietly celebrated that this time the prize money was surely hers. When asked, only Du knew how to cook, so she placed her trust in him, hoping he would create the best dish in the contest. Cooking was no big deal for Du. From filleting fish to chopping vegetables to frying crispy dishes, he handled every step swiftly and skillfully. When he served the food, the whole group froze for a full 50 seconds, speechless. Ms. Sahara, holding a bottle of wine, was eager to taste it. Upon her first bite, everyone suddenly came alive, showering Du's cooking with endless praise. Du smiled quietly, feeling fulfilled. Living alone all this time, he never shared meals with anyone before. Seeing everyone's smiles now warmed his heart. After their hearty feast, Miss Sahara suddenly declared she wanted to marry Du, leaving everyone speechless. Sawada explained that living alone made her messy and clueless in the kitchen, always buried in research. So at her age, no suitor had come. Someone handsome and a great cook like Du was a catch she had to claim fast. KD was visibly frustrated, determined not to let Do fall into their teacher's grasp. The male teachers advised Sawada to keep some dignity, since Do was still a student. But she said she'd wait for Do to grow up before making her move, even hugging him tightly, leaving the teachers at a loss for words. Akira, standing nearby, couldn't help but envy his lucky friend, who was now wrapped up with two big fruits, the teachers. After Sawada finally released Do, he was free to move again. Seizing a moment to rest, Jura headed home to feed his pet. Once that was done, he returned to the picnic area for a shower. As he entered the room, all eyes turned to Jura, leaving him puzzled. Akira felt envious again, seeing his friend possess such a well-built body. In the girls' locker room, the girls began chatting, noticing KD's impressive assets. Uyen remarked, "With a body like that, how can the boys not go crazy?" Juki, witnessing the situation, felt that the teacher was in deep trouble. But just when the teacher stumbled on the grass, Jura rushed back to help her. He dodged attacks while grappling with the bear for a long while, and with his incredible strength, he knocked the bear out cold, leaving everyone in awe. While the teacher wanted to scold Jura for his recklessness, she couldn't help but thank him for saving her life, vowing to reward him with her body. Do had just knocked out a bear, stunning everyone around. Ms. Sawada wanted to scold Do for his reckless bravery, but since he saved her life, she thanked him and offered herself as his reward. Seeing the unconscious bear, they quickly tied its paws and handed it over to the Academy's care facility. Carrie declared this bear would now be the Academy's mascot, and if it ever attacked anyone, she promised to serve delicious bear meat to the entire school. With the bear safely secured, Do's camping trip came to an end. Today was also the day Do planned to meet the king. He entered the other world and defeated a few monsters. Before leaving, Do tested a hammer from the sun. It was unbelievably powerful. Among the loot, he found a cool-looking helmet. Behind him, a mysterious rabbit was quietly following, seemingly searching for Do for some reason. At that moment, Owen's army arrived. Noticing Do looked different from usual. To avoid suspicion, Do removed his helmet so they wouldn't be scared to approach. The princess thanked Do for accepting the king's invitation, and was about to invite him onto the carriage when Nai sensed danger, suddenly pushing the princess down. A falling tree was chopped into pieces by Do. Realizing someone was trying to assassinate the princess, Do asked Owen to protect her. Do then turned invisible, sneaked behind the attacker, and kicked him hard in the back. When the mask fell off, Do was shocked to see it was Luna. He couldn't understand why she would try to kill the princess, insisting Luna was a good person and needed help more than punishment. Before they could return home, the princess was overjoyed and agreed not to go back to the capital, leaving the knights speechless. The two ran straight towards Do's home. Seeing it would take too long, Do used teleportation magic to speed up their journey. On the carriage, the princess had many questions for Do, which he promised to explain slowly. After hearing a brief explanation about the complex relationships, the princess began to understand. However, she was still curious about the teleportation magic they used. It seemed legendary, existing only in fairy tales. Anyone capable of using it could upend the world and start wars, so Do had to promise never to use that magic recklessly again. The princess knew Luna was pretending to sleep, telling her there was no need for the act. Do recognized it too, but stayed silent out of kindness. The princess then asked why Luna tried to kill her. Luna seemed indifferent to life, prompting Do to speak up and say he wanted to know more about her. This led Luna to open up about her harsh past. She told them she had to steal to survive, but during those dark times, a stranger saved her. He taught her to read and write eventually, training her into a professional assassin. The princess realized they were part of the Shadow Society, a dark group that committed crimes in the kingdom. Luna added she had worked for the Shadow Society for a long time, under the code name Head Hunter. A few days ago, she received the mission to assassinate the princess. Now that the mission failed, Luna faced a death sentence. If not executed by the state, the society would come after her, even though they were hunted by the Dark Guild to be eliminated after escaping. Jura felt a pang of sadness when Luna spoke those painful words. Their time together was brief, yet he truly saw her as a close friend. Seeing himself sidelined, the princess had to speak up, declaring that since Luna had failed, she must now become Jura's bodyguard. After all, only those present knew about Luna's assassination attempt. But Luna believed she was unworthy of such trust, haunted by the countless lives she had taken, her hands stained with blood no longer pure. Yet the princess insisted the assassin's hands were surprisingly soft, almost too delicate by any standard. When asked about her flawless skin, Luna's accidental mention of the mystical bath at Dura's estate gave everything away. Trying to deny it was too late, as the princess had overheard everything. But first, she had to officially accept Luna as her protector. Then, she commanded Luna to spill all the secrets of that magical bath. Luna proudly revealed that Dura possessed a unique, incredibly healing bath item, one that restored health and beautified the skin. Intrigued, the princess was eager to try this legendary bath herself. Noticing it was too quiet, the princess invited Dura to join for fun. But our hero, wanting to keep his innocence intact, politely declined. Meanwhile, Owen's night squad was being relentlessly chased by goblins through the forest, praying for the princess's safety. Meanwhile, she was luxuriating in the bath with Luna. When asked if she liked Dura, Luna shyly refused to admit it. But the princess's announcement that she would marry Dura sparked a fierce jealousy in Luna. At this point, Luna could no longer deny her feelings for Dura. Seeing this, the princess threw down a challenge to see who would win Dura's heart. Luna was no pushover, and vowed not to let Dura slip away into the princess's hands. Thus the two became rivals, locked in a battle for love. After their bath, it was time for dinner, a test to prove who could be the perfect wife. The princess boldly volunteered to cook, but struggled even to cut a potato properly, wildly swinging the knife and nearly ending Dura's life. Thankfully, he survived. Otherwise, the girls would have no choice but to fast that night. Dura prepared the meal, serving it to the two girls, who praised every bite as insanely delicious. But when the princess noticed Dura's portion looked tastier, she demanded more for herself and even for him. Not to be outdone, Luna wanted Dura to feed her, especially after noticing how sore she'd been earlier. The princess's jealousy flared, and she commanded Dura to feed her as well. Mustering all his courage, Dura gave in to both girls. Late into the night, they finally retired, ready to leave early the next day. The following morning, at the forest edge, Owen and his men finally saw the princess safe and breathed a sigh of relief. Dura introduced his pet to Owen, who thanked him for saving the princess. But the princess accidentally revealed that Luna was the assassin from the day before, leaving Luna speechless. The soldiers immediately drew their swords, targeting Luna. Dura intervened, insisting they had reconciled. Owen refused to believe it until the princess mentioned that she and Luna had bathed and even slept together the previous night. Only then did Owen reluctantly sheath his sword. At this moment, Dura had something important to tell Owen. Today, he had to attend school, so he couldn't make it to the capital to meet the king. Earlier, Dura had planned to leave yesterday, but missed the chance. Upon hearing this, the king couldn't be hard on Dura, and simply told him that whenever he's free, just follow the road ahead, and he'll reach the capital. As they parted ways, Luna felt a deep reluctance. Just as Dura mounted his horse and rode a short distance, she suddenly jumped down and sprinted back to him. Without warning, Luna gifted him a kiss, an unexpected moment that left the princess burning with jealousy, powerless to intervene. Luna casually said it was just a teacher's kiss, a thank you for all his help so far. That kiss replayed in Dura's mind, leaving him flustered. He needed to cool off with a bath before heading back to school. Suddenly, beside Dura appeared an adorable piglet rivaling anyone in cuteness. Dura's status board revealed that the piglet had been tamed by him. Using appraisal, Dura discovered its level was 490, and it possessed a skill called Sacred Realm, with powerful healing abilities. Overjoyed, Dura decided to name the piglet Akatsuki, meaning dawn in Japanese, inspired by its radiant fur. Meanwhile, Nai brought a watch to Dura, reminding him to return early for school. Today, teacher Sawada announced another competition tied to their salaries, a soccer tournament held annually between classes. So, their PE time was now dedicated to soccer practice. With no knowledge of the rules, Dura volunteered as goalkeeper. On the field, Ryo single-handedly tore through the opposing team's defense, scoring one goal after another. Rin realized that Ryo's talent alone might not secure victory, so Green asked Kade to show off some fancy footwork with two impressive balls. However, their teammates all stared at Kade, which gave the young player Akira a chance to dash forward and shoot. But Dura, with lightning-fast speed, caught the ball and threw it with all his might toward the opposite goal. The rival goalkeeper didn't dare to face it. Everyone, including the teacher, was left speechless, jaws dropped in awe. Jura's skills were simply too strong, so the teacher barred him from playing further and moved him to table tennis instead. On the way home, he met a man named Kurosawa and his director. They were impressed by the photos Jura had taken before and invited him to join their entertainment company. Jura refused immediately, saying being a student was the most fun for him. The director was baffled. Opportunities in the entertainment world were rare, yet Jura turned it down. Just then, a model's older sister appeared to stop the strict director. Two friends witnessing this couldn't believe what they were seeing, noticing how perfectly Jura fit into the photos from before they extended an invitation to join their entertainment company. But Jura, with a heart full of joy, declined cherishing his time as a student. The director was baffled. Opportunities in the entertainment industry were rare, and here was Jura uninterested. At that moment, a model sister appeared, stepping in to protect Jura from the strict director, leaving his friends in disbelief. Coincidentally, Carrie arrived to distribute flyers for the school sports festival. The manager suddenly concocted a new plan: infiltrate the sports festival to capture Jura's candid moments and send the photos to publishing. This way, Jura wouldn't even need to join the company to make the magazine cover. Jura was left speechless, unsure how to thwart her plans. Back in the fantasy realm, Jura continued battling monsters to train and familiarize himself with magic. Yet he struggled to combine his weapon skills with magic, feeling powerless with his two animal companions. Suddenly, he sensed something lurking in the woods and ventured deeper, only to find a massive boar before him. Initially, mistaking it for Akatsuki, he quickly realized that Akatsuki was still behind him, leaving him vulnerable to an attack from the wild boar. Jura was baffled. How could a mere level 10 creature possess such strength? Just as he prepared a healing potion, the boar charged again, relentlessly assaulting him. Jura feared he might meet his end here, but then a voice from behind assured him of assistance. The boar was suddenly struck and pinned against a tree, revealing a talking rabbit before him. Jura and his animal companions were still in shock when the rabbit delivered a powerful kick that dispatched the boar. Even sturdy trees around them were uprooted from the force of the attack. When Jura assessed the rabbit, he discovered it was only level 4, yet possessed astonishing skills. The rabbit then invited Jura and his companions to showcase their own kicks. Akatsuki eagerly volunteered, but with its short legs couldn't muster any real power. Despite Akatsuki's inexperience, the rabbit noted the potential. When it was Jura's turn, the rabbit recognized his talent, albeit untapped. The rabbit decided to demonstrate a powerful kick, unleashing a blow that left holes in the strong trees of the forest. With the rabbit's guidance, Jura practiced kicking for hours. Seeing improvement in his skills, the rabbit proposed a sparring session. Jura was confused why the rabbit would train him, but the rabbit explained he had chosen Jura as his successor. Upon hearing successor, Jura was perplexed. The rabbit began recounting tales of being selected as one of humanity's saints, tasked with combating evil forces to protect the world. Recognizing Jura's potential, the rabbit chose him to inherit his powers. Accepting this legacy would make Jura a true saint, but even if he declined, the rabbit would have an ally against evil. Jura expressed his reluctance to be a saint, but having made friends in this world, he wanted to gain strength to protect them alongside his companions. The rabbit agreed to continue training him under the condition that Jura would teach him magic in return. With this pact established, Jura found himself enduring rigorous training sessions led by the rabbit. His mission was to devise a strategy to defeat an even more formidable boar than the one he faced before. This boar was significantly stronger, presenting a chance for Jura to seek revenge. The rabbit warned him that the evil forces were many times stronger than this creature, and failure to defeat the boar would leave him vulnerable against them. From his inventory, Jura retrieved the whip he had used previously. He tightened his grip around the boar, lifting it off the ground before slamming it back down. The boar vanished in an instant. Jura triumphed over the colossal boar, elated as it dropped rare loot, a testament to its overwhelming strength. However, the rabbit cautioned that the minions of evil were legendary, far surpassing the boar. After defeating the boar, Jura was rewarded with a physical evolution. Though his appearance remained unchanged, his physical prowess and skills elevated to new heights. After their training session, the rabbit bid Jura farewell, reminding him to rest and regain strength. It was a relief, but Jura's anxiety lingered. He feared he might unleash his newfound power recklessly during the upcoming sports festival. The manager was present to capture photos of Jura and his table tennis opponent, a tall and muscular guy. Jura thought it unbelievable that someone so imposing could still be a high school student. The guy gave off a mafia vibe, yet his table tennis skills were unparalleled. Even a simple serve left Jura unable to respond. Feeling a resemblance between his opponent and the bear he faced previously, Jura decided to unleash his full strength. His serve shattered the table, prompting Jura to concede, fearing that this giant would end up in the hospital. Just as he escaped the match, Carey brought 2 more balls to meet Jura, leading him to the volleyball court since they were short on players. His mission was clear defeat the colossal wild boar, which was even stronger than the beast he faced yesterday. This was a chance for revenge. The wise rabbit master warned him that evil forces were even more formidable than this beast, and if Jura failed, he would surely meet his end. Gripping the whip from his previous encounter, Jura hoisted the wild boar into the air and slammed it down, causing it to vanish in an instant. Victory filled him with joy, and the loot from the boar revealed its tremendous power. However, the rabbit master cautioned him that the evil minions were leagues above this wild boar. The reward for defeating the boar was body evolution. Though his appearance remained unchanged, Jura's physical strength and skills reached new heights. After their training session, the rabbit master bid Jura farewell, reminding him to return soon to rest and regain strength. Yet Jura couldn't shake off his worries about the upcoming sports festival. He feared he might overexert himself before the competition. This transformation wasn't just skin deep, though. Jura's appearance remained unchanged. His physical strength and skills soared to an entirely new realm. After the grueling training, Master Rabbit bid farewell to Jura, reminding him to rest early. Gaining power is a blessing, but Jura's heart trembled with worry. What if he unleashed too much strength at the upcoming sports festival? Just then, the director appeared, snapping photos of Jura and his table tennis rival. Today's opponent was a towering, rugged man who looked more like a street enforcer than a high school student. Yet his table tennis skills were razor sharp. A single serve from him left Jura unable to return the ball. This opponent felt strangely familiar, like the bear from before. Determined, Jura unleashed his full power. His serve smashed a hole through the table. Realizing the danger, Jura called off the match. If this kept up, someone was bound for the hospital. No sooner had the table tennis battle ended than KD arrived with 2 more balls, leading Jura to a tennis court where players were short-handed. But Jura's powerful smash shattered the court floor, forcing both teams to call it quits. KD's 2 balls, however, became the stars of the entertainment company's photo shoot. Somehow every shot focused perfectly on them. Back at the company, the director grinned, promising raises for the photographers. Meanwhile, Jura began to falter, struggling to control his immense power. Then, unexpectedly, Jura found his moment to shine. His teammate Carey's tennis partner was seriously injured when a racket flew into her face. The opponent warned Jura to be careful or he'd end up the same. Carey's serves were surprisingly weak. Maybe the photographer's antics had rattled her nerves. Frustrated, Carey almost hurled her racket at them. Jura soon realized Carey was the cause behind her partner's hospital trip. Carrying the weight of playing 2 against 1, Jura fought fiercely. Carey desperately wanted to prove herself, but her shots missed the mark, often just tossing rackets at the spectators. Finally, Jura made the winning shot and caught Carey before she could fall. Afterwards, Carey longed to thank Jura, but he brushed it off. Just being with her was enough joy. Hearing this, Carey wondered if Jura felt something for her. Carly teased Jura to close his eyes, then snuck up and kissed him on the cheek. To Jura, it was just a sweet scent. When he asked Carey what had happened, she coyly called it a secret. Meanwhile, in the other world, Master Rabbit battled a dark-powered girl. Thanks to the magic Jura had taught him, he matched her strength. Upon hearing Jura's name, the girl shifted her focus, eager to test this human's true power. Today's duel with Rabbit was enough. She planned to retreat and hunt Jura next. Though Rabbit tried to stop her, his strength fell short, so he vowed to teach Jura more skills. Back home, the 3 directors beamed with pride as they reviewed the best photos of Jura, certain his magazines would fly off shelves. Meanwhile, Carey visited Jura's home to tutor him, but with such a pretty girl around, Jura couldn't focus. Suddenly, Carrie needed a bathroom break, but the door she chose led to the other world, forcing Jura to rush after her. Only then did Jura reveal the truth. This door opened to another realm, a place that only he could enter. No matter how hard Carrie tried, she couldn't cross. He demonstrated magic by conjuring a water orb, leaving her wide-eyed. Besides magic, Jura had gained incredible power from that world, which explained how he'd once defeated school thugs and saved Carrie and friends from a fire. Eager to share, Jura invited Carrie inside. Hand in hand, they stepped through the portal, and Carrie was awestruck by its beauty. Jura told her about Nai and Akatsuki, the world's native creatures. Suddenly, Carrie's status panel popped up. Jura explained this world tracked stats, and hers had surged since arriving. He himself had leveled up and transformed from a chubby kid into a handsome warrior. Carrie didn't care about looks. She just wanted Jura to show her around. But Jura warned the place was teeming with monsters that could devour them. Though she was eager, this wasn't the time. Instead, Carrie promised Jura that one day he'd take her exploring. Jura wanted to keep the other world a secret, and Carrie agreed, sealing it as their shared secret. A secret between them felt like the bond of lovers, and Carrie imagined herself savoring Jura's presence forever. Meanwhile, the princess had returned to the capital, but the king hadn't seen Jura yet and couldn't confront him. Luna confessed she had attempted to assassinate the princess, causing Jura's delay. The king, stunned that an assassin still lived, drew his sword and stormed toward Luna, but Luna's magic cords bound his hands tightly. Nearby, the princess declared she'd accepted Luna as her personal guard, warning the king that if he pushed further, she'd never speak to him again. Hearing he'd be shunned by his own daughter sent the king into a panic. A secret is like a lover's embrace, intensely intimate. Carrie thought she was on the brink of a revelation. Meanwhile, the princess had returned to the royal capital, but the king was still unaware of Jura's whereabouts, leaving him unable to confront the situation. Beside him, Luna confessed that her assassination attempt on the princess had caused Jura's delay. Upon hearing this, the king could hardly believe a would-be assassin was still alive and well. In a fit of rage, he seized his sword and charged at Luna, but she skillfully bound his arms with her magical threads. The princess quickly interjected, declaring that she had chosen Luna as her protector, effectively sidelining the king. The thought of his beloved daughter not wanting to engage with him sent the king into a panic. He had no choice but to accept Luna as his daughter's guardian and begged her to release him from her bindings. The princess's words had shaken the king, but then Owen unwittingly mentioned that the princess had spent the night at Jura's residence. This ignited a furious rage within the king, who believed Jura had sullied his daughter's honor regardless of his status as her benefactor. Such an affront was unforgivable. He vowed that when he next encountered Jura, it would be the end for him. Sensing the king's fury, Owen reassured him that the princess was still pure. Yet Owen's absence during the incident cast doubt on his words, especially since the king had recently received news of Luna's failed assassination attempt. Now, she was not only alive, but had even become the princess's bodyguard. His subordinates informed him that Jura was expected to visit the palace soon, and the prince saw this as the perfect opportunity to eliminate both the king and the princess. He entrusted his men with a magical orb called the Phantom Barrier. Once activated, it would imprison anyone inside, rendering them unable to wield magic. He believed that with this power he could easily defeat both Owen and Luna, paving the way to slaughter the princess and king without resistance. If the plan failed, he would simply place the blame squarely on Jura. With the recent sports tournament concluded, Jura had an additional 3 days of freedom, which he decided to spend travelling to the royal capital. He entered a city in the demon realm for sightseeing, but lacking funds meant he couldn't buy anything. Thus, he ventured into a trading guild to sell some of his goods. Upon hearing Jura's name, the merchant mistook him for a foreign aristocrat. Not wanting to pry further, he simply asked what Jura wished to sell. Jura presented a collection of Japanese spices, and the merchant, enchanted by their beauty and novelty, offered him a staggering 100 gold coins. Unaware of the local currency's value, Jura learned that this amount could sustain him for 2 decades without needing to work. Impressed by the merchant's honesty, Jura promised to return whenever he needed more money. With a wealth of coins in hand, he rented a carriage to head to the royal capital. After a night's journey, he arrived in the bustling heart of the kingdom, where the king's opulent castle stood before him, a sight that left Dura in awe. As soon as he arrived, he met Owen, who immediately took him to meet the king. Dura felt anxious. He was unsure of the formalities involved. Owen reassured him that the king was quite easygoing, so there was no need for fear. Although Dura found this a bit suspicious, he followed along. As the door swung open, he was greeted by the king and his entourage, including 2 lovely maidens, which put Dura at ease. However, as soon as he bowed to greet the king, the ruler spat venomous words calling him a worthless scoundrel who dared to deceive his daughter. Everyone around fell silent, shocked that a king would speak in such a crude manner. Gradually, regaining his composure, the king introduced himself as the ruler of the Axley kingdom, but continued to berate Dura, chastising him for arriving empty-handed. Despite having a plethora of gifts, Dura was unsure of what would be appropriate. He quickly produced a heavenly set of linens that brought joy to the princess. The king, however, drew his sword, marching straight toward Dura, convinced that the boy only intended to take his daughter to paradise without his permission. Owen intervened, explaining that such gestures were customary in Dura's homeland. The princess added that, in their culture, failing to present a gift could imply ill intentions toward a noble's daughter. Dura felt a wave of embarrassment wash over him. Just then, assassins sent by the prince infiltrated the palace. The leader swiftly activated the phantom barrier, trapping everyone inside and cutting off their access to magic. But Luna, being a physical fighter, quickly subdued the attackers, and Dura, unfazed by magic, joined the fray, landing a solid kick on each of them until the last one fell unconscious. Seeing Dura's strength, the princess rushed to embrace him, showering him with praise. Luna, unwilling to let the princess steal the spotlight, pulled her away, creating a scene that caught the king's ire. After examining the fallen assassins, Owen discovered a royal emblem, instantly recognizing it as belonging to Riga, the king's son, and the princess's brother. This realization struck Owen hard. Riga posed a significant threat to the kingdom, and he sought Dura's help. Dura was deeply worried about the kingdom's turmoil and approached the princess for more details. Just then, she stepped out of her chamber, and since Dura was still unfamiliar with the kingdom, she offered to show him around the royal capital. However, Luna interjected, insisting the princess remain at home since she was a target. Only Luna could accompany Dura. While searching the assassin, Owen discovered a royal insignia, immediately recognizing it as belonging to Riga, the king's son, and the princess's brother. Realizing the threat, Owen asked Dura for help. Dura, anxious about the kingdom's turmoil, rushed to question the princess. Just as she stepped out of her chamber, she planned to show Dura around the capital, but Luna intervened, forbidding the princess from leaving, since she was under surveillance. Only Luna was allowed to accompany Dura. Watching the 2 girls argue over who should guide him, Owen suggested he take Dura for a fairer tour, but the result was 2 girls tagging along, while Owen had to play the role of the shadow, quietly observing them. Each girl wanted to go her own way, leaving Du unsure whom to follow. The princess aimed for the jewelry shop, while Luna set her sights on the forge. But Du was only interested in the Adventurers Guild after all. In this world, he was no stranger to battling monsters and was eager to test himself as an adventurer. Luna, who knew the guild best, offered to lead the way. When the 2 approached to register, the princess immediately stopped them, fearing Luna might steal her fiancé away. Luna cheekily responded, "If you're worried about losing him, why not just sign up yourself?" Eventually, both completed the paperwork to become adventurers. When it came to listing their main attributes, Du was clueless. If he put down all his powers, the world might spiral into chaos. Plus, the princess warned him not to reveal his magic teleportation skill. So Du cautiously wrote down only safe elements like water, fire, and wind. After filling out the basic info, the next step was measuring magical power with a crystal orb. Du hesitated, but the receptionist Amelia insisted it was mandatory, because some adventurers often hide their true strength, so the guild needed accurate data. Luna tested first, placing her hand on the orb, which glowed faint yellow magic, was not her strong suit. When it was Du's turn, the orb shattered instantly, leaving everyone in the guild hall wide-eyed. Du figured he might owe the guild compensation. That orb must have been expensive. Luna placed her hand on the crystal and it glowed a faint yellow, revealing that magic wasn't her forte. Then, it was Sui's turn. The moment he touched the ball, it shattered into pieces, leaving everyone in the guild staring in disbelief. Sui thought he would have to compensate for the expensive crystal, but Emilia reassured him that it was an accident, so it was all good. Afterward, Emilia checked Dura's registration and was utterly astonished he could wield 3 attributes, just like the legendary characters. Ordinary people would be considered talented if they could use even one type of magic. Dura sighed in relief, realizing he had dodged a bullet by not revealing all his attributes. Otherwise, the entire nation would be in an uproar. After completing the registration, Emilia handed the membership cards to Dura and Luna. As newcomers, they would start at the lowest rank, F. The next step for Sui was to peruse the mission board to accept a quest. Just then, a tipsy girl approached and wrapped her arms around Dura, leaving the 2 girls helpless as she introduced herself as Garina. Garina assumed Dura was incredibly strong since he shattered the crystal ball, and she wanted to take on a quest with him next time. Watching Sui being flirted with made the princess uneasy, prompting her to consider becoming an adventurer herself to protect Dura from this brazen woman. However, Luna quickly intervened, knowing the princess's stubbornness would likely cause Sir Owen to have a meltdown. Despite Luna's warning, the princess remained resolute, declaring she would choose all their quests from now on. Their first mission as rookie adventurers was to gather herbs, and the princess insisted on tagging along, which made Owen's job even tougher. Clearly, she was a target for assassination, yet here she was frolicking about. Suddenly, the princess proposed a competition against Luna. Whoever gathered more herbs would get exclusive time with Dura for a day. Finding this challenge intriguing, the 2 girls abandoned Dura to compete elsewhere. After a while of gathering herbs, Dura realized he hadn't seen Owen, who was supposed to assess the girls' competition. Just then, Owen rushed back breathless, reporting he had found the location of Prince Riga. Dura immediately mounted his horse to follow him, leaving the princess in the meadow for Luna to safeguard. When they arrived, they found an abandoned house in the middle of the meadow. The silence made Owen suspect that the advance team had captured Riga. However, as soon as he opened the door, a dagger flew out, revealing Riga inside, holding a soldier hostage, while the others merely watched in shock. Without hesitation, Dura charged at Riga, who seemed cornered, and Owen arrived just in time to convince Riga to surrender peacefully. With a heavy heart, he left the princess in the meadow for Luna to protect. Upon arrival, they found a desolate house standing alone amidst the grass. The silence was eerie, and Owen wondered if the vanguard team had already captured Riga. But as he opened the door, a dagger flew out, and inside, Riga was holding a soldier hostage, while the others stood frozen in shock. Seeing this, one of them lunged forward, biting Riga's arm, cornering him like a rat. Owen arrived just in time, urging Riga to surrender for mercy. But Riga threatened anyone who dared approach, declaring he would end their lives. Realizing Riga was determined to go down fighting, Du rushed in, sprinting towards him, causing Riga to panic and wildly swing his dagger. Seizing the moment, Akatsuki charged in and delivered a swift kick, knocking him to the ground. The trio fought with impeccable coordination, leaving Owen in awe, but just as they subdued Riga, a fierce wind swept through, heralding the arrival of the sinister girl Duty with her dark powers. Riga had hoped Duty would rescue him, but instead she viewed him as expendable. It turned out he had been manipulated by Duty to assassinate the princess and incite war across the realm. With his mission failing, his life was forfeit. When Owen rushed to save Riga, an arrow struck him from behind, and he thought Duty had allies. Yet she coldly stated she was alone, controlling the arrows aimed to eliminate everyone in the room. Owen was determined to stop Duty, yearning for the brothers to reconcile, as they once had, which brought tears to Riga's eyes. After everything, he expressed gratitude to Dura, and the king promised to reward him. The 2 girls began to bicker over the prize for the heroic boy, leaving everyone speechless. Riga then offered to give away his entire territory as a reward for Dura, along with the title of Knight of the Kingdom. Dura was left confused, wondering who this girl was so powerful. Back in the real world, Carrie rang Dura's doorbell, but he was lost in another realm. Concern filled the air as everyone realized there was someone stronger than Dura. Who was this girl, and what kind of terrifying strength did she possess? Just then, Owen entered the room, announcing that the king was about to pass judgment on his son, Prince Riga. They also wanted Dura to participate in the interrogation, and, with the princess's consent, he agreed alongside Alway. They brought Riga into the palace, stripping him of his mask and robe to reveal a body marred by scars. The king and his courtiers averted their eyes, unable to bear the sight. According to Riga, he had been entangled in the magical chaos caused by Lycia, which is why he bore such wounds. Though the injuries from that incident had healed, the overwhelming power of Lycia had twisted his mind. Riga's thoughts were consumed by a desire for destruction, and to suppress that urge he had allowed his body to become this way. In his eyes, he was already dead. The king stated that he had never aided Riga, only isolating him. Once a handsome face, he had transformed into a monster that instilled fear in everyone. Thus, Riga harboured deep resentment and plotted to assassinate Lycia. Living on was meaningless to him. He merely wished for swift punishment. Dura, witnessing this, voiced his concerns to the king and immediately produced a vial of recovery potion from his belongings. Riga, thinking Dura was bringing oil to cook, him trembled in fear. But Dura used the potion on Riga, causing his wounds to gradually heal. The onlookers could hardly believe their eyes, and Riga was astonished, as his burns vanished, restoring his handsome visage. Dura revealed that the potion was made from rare herbs, which left everyone in awe, as it was a legendary healing herb. The king expressed his gratitude to Dura for using something so precious to save his son, but Riga thought that even if he was saved, he couldn't escape the death penalty for attempting to assassinate the princess. Yet Lycia immediately pardoned him without any conditions. Upon hearing this, Riga was shocked that his sister would make such a simple decision. The king, however, halted Lycia, reminding her that Riga had hired the Dark Guild to kill her. This daughter of his was so stubborn that even the king had to relent, fearing she would resent him. Finally, Lycia expressed her desire for the siblings to reconcile, as they once did, bringing tears to Riga's eyes. After everything, Riga thanked Dura, and the king promised to reward him. Thus, the two girls bickered over who would reward the brave young man, leaving everyone speechless. Riga suggested giving all his territory to Dura as a reward, along with the title of Knight of the Kingdom. After a long day, Dura returned to his private room to rest, but as soon as he lay down, he was plunged into a nightmare. In it, he fought Zuti evenly, only to be ultimately defeated, jolting him awake. Though it was just a dream, it served as a warning that this girl was not to be trifled with. Back in the real world, Dura attended school as usual. However, when friends invited him out, he turned them all down, including Carrie. His mind lingered on Riga's words about having witnessed Zuti's strength and his warning to be cautious. According to his mentor, the rabbit, this girl wielded dark powers that even divine beings could not defeat. So Dura spent his afternoons training in the other realm, honing his strength. Just then, Zuti appeared and launched an attack towards Dura. When questioned about her motivations for revenge, she remained silent, leaving Dura perplexed. He couldn't remain passive as she continued her assault. This time Dura donned new armor that enhanced his speed and strength. With a powerful kick, he sent Zuti flying into the air. But the attack did not harm her. She quickly readied her bow, forcing Dura to evade. At that moment, Carrie appeared, leaving Dura astonished. Zuti shifted her aim toward Carrie, but by a stroke of luck, Carrie's height allowed her to dodge the arrow, which instead turned back toward Dura. Thanks to the rabbit's agile maneuvers, both Dura and the rabbit managed to evade the onslaught. Taking advantage of Zuti's distraction, Dura bit her leg, allowing the rabbit to land a powerful kick to her face. Though Zuti was severely injured, her thirst for revenge against those who harmed her master remained unquenched. Channeling her dark powers, she unleashed destruction all around, causing Dura to spit blood in response. The rabbit charged back into the fray, their speed amplified as they fought with renewed vigor. Dura was in awe of the rabbit's abilities, realizing he could match Zuti's strength. Just then, Akatsuki emerged from a cloak of invisibility, rushing towards Zuti and activating his holy skill. As he made contact, all of Zuti's dark energy was nullified. The rabbit recognized that Akatsuki was no ordinary pig. Seizing the opportunity, Dura knocked Zuti out, catching her as she fell. The rabbit explained that Akatsuki was a sacred artifact capable of countering dark forces, and as long as Akatsuki was by Dura's side, Zuti couldn't wield her malevolent powers. Avoiding danger. Du leapt forward only to find the girl already behind him. Carrie had silently appeared. She'd missed going out with Du for a long time and was worried about him. Twice now she'd popped in unexpectedly, using the excuse of study sessions to visit. But then she passed through the door leading to the other world despite Du's warning about monsters lurking in the forest. Suddenly Carrie heard a loud noise nearby. At that moment, the fierce battle between Zuti and Du was reaching its peak. Though Du kept asking why Rotti sought revenge, she refused to answer. Du was deeply confused, but couldn't just stand by while Zuti kept attacking. This time, Du switched to new armor that boosted his speed, allowing him to strike alongside Nai. With this armor, Du kicked Zuti high into the air, while Nai's attack sent Juki crashing down. Yet none of these blows injured Zuti, who drew her bow, forcing Du to dodge in a frantic dance. Just then, Carrie appeared, surprising Du greatly. Seeing her, Zuti shifted her aim toward Carrie, but luck was on Carrie's side. An arrow she fired ricocheted back toward Du. He managed to block the shot, but after a fierce fight, he collapsed from exhaustion. Meanwhile, Zuti stood silently behind him, aiming her bow straight at Du. Du thought if he couldn't block this arrow, he might be reuniting with his grandfather sooner than expected. Thankfully, just as Du screamed in defiance, his master the rabbit sage arrived just in time, knocking Zuti's arrow away. The rabbit revealed he knew Zuti's true identity and the holy bow she inherited from his own master. At that moment, Zuti confessed her master had protected humanity, but was betrayed, fueling her desire to destroy mankind in revenge. The rabbit sage declared he could not ignore someone bent on world destruction. Without hesitation, Zuti raised her bow once more. Her resolve was as cold as steel, and the battle's tension thickened. This wasn't just a fight, it was a clash of ideals, vengeance, and the fate of the world hanging by a fragile thread. The rabbit sage stood firm, ready to protect the fragile hope that humanity still held. In this moment, the story reminded us, even when darkness threatens to consume all, a single light can rise to challenge the shadow. The battle raged on, with Rabbit constantly urging Dura to use his feet to strike. Yet those arrows from the sacred bow kept Dura at bay, unable to close in. Meanwhile, Master Rabbit gracefully dodged each attack, reminding Dura to follow the next arrow. Suddenly, Yoti's arrow transformed into a swirling tornado, hurtling straight toward Yoga. But thanks to Master Rabbit's skillful moves, both narrowly escaped. "Now's your chance! Kick that tornado away!" In the chaos, Naya bit Suti's leg, and Rabbit delivered a fierce kick to Tuyuti's face. Severely wounded, Tuyuti's hatred for her master's killers burned fiercely. She unleashed her dark power, obliterating everything around her. The surge of evil energy forced Dura to cough up blood, while Master Rabbit charged ahead. She clashed fiercely with Bem and Rotti, her speed now unmatched. Dura stood in awe. Rabbit was truly a match for duty. Just then, Akatsuki emerged from a cloak of invisibility. The little pig dashed toward Rotti and unleashed the Sacred Realm technique. The moment it touched Zuti, her dark powers were completely nullified. Master Rabbit realized this was no ordinary pig. Seizing the moment, Dura knocked Duty unconscious and caught her gently. Rabbit explained that Akatsuki was a holy relic able to counter evil energies. With Akatsuki by their side, Zuti's dark powers were powerless. Then Rabbit entrusted Duty to Dura's care and swiftly vanished. When Rotti woke, Duty inquired about her master, describing him as kind and full of love. Hearing this, Dura saw that Duty was just a tragic girl after all. At that moment, Kaori arrived, bringing along a colossal wild boar. Dura threw his spear and the beast vanished in a flash. Seeing her still trembling, he gently set Zuti down and spoke plainly. Kaori understood this was Dura's daily life in this strange world. He had leveled up here and become unbeatable like cheating in the real world, yet asked Kaori not to hold it against him. But Kaori remained tender, confessing that since Dura saved her, she truly understood him. After some time, the princess and Luna arrived to meet Kaori, while Zuti travelled to Dura's real world, becoming a new student in his class. And with that, this anime story comes to an end. If you enjoyed this journey,